This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Want to pull off the season's freshest trends? You just need the right shoes. That's where Designer Shoe Warehouse comes in. Loving wide-leg jeans? Pair them with sleek, low-profile sneakers. Obsessed with the sheer trend? Try it with mesh flats. Feeling boho? Comfy sandals nail the whole free-spirited thing. Find on-trend shoes from the brands you love, like Birkenstock, Nike, Adidas, and more at DSW.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Want to feel more creative but don't have the right laptop? Lenovo.com can help. Look through our legendary lineup of AI-powered PCs and devices and find the one that fits your passion. Our PCs powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, as well as cutting-edge AI tools, allow students to focus, learn, and create with ease. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. Plus, college students and teachers can get 5% off their order. Shop now on Lenovo.com. The future's waiting, and it needs you.
Final hour, Nordo in for PA. And joining me now, courtesy of The Athletic, you can hear him on a weekly, regular basis, bumper to bumper with Dan Barrero in the afternoons as well. Once in a while, he's nice enough to answer my call, and I appreciate it. How you doing this morning, John Krasinski?
What's up, Nordo? How's it going?
And it's a beautiful day, and it's at JONKRAWCZYNSKI via X, and you cover the Howl and the NBA for The Athletic. I'll start here more locally because we were texting yesterday. You mentioned PA's interview with Chris Finch. What'd you think of what you heard and just kind of soaked in over however much of that hour you listened to? But Chris Finch in studio with PA yesterday. Anything pop top ahead?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good, hour-long session. I think anytime you can get Finchy to kind of sit down at length and have those kinds of conversations, it's usually illuminating. I thought that, him being very emphatic that Naz Reid and Julius Randle weren't going anywhere was notable. I really liked his conversation about his favorite part of the season being starting Joe Ingles in front of his kid who was in the stands who has autism. And I thought that was, a really kind of touching and human side of Finch that is not always seen. And just overall, just good back and forth, not only with you and PA, but also with just some of the fans that were chiming in. Finchy gets a lot of heat on social media, but I think that, kind of hearing the real personal thank yous and things from real fans and not just Twitter kind of keyboard warriors was really good to see, or really good to hear. So it was a good session overall.
I'm glad you meant that specifically with Ingles. And I got a lot there are more pressing or more time specific bits with this team right now. Certainly we'll get into those, but it's kind of funny. 2 straight years, you lose in the Western Conference Finals. So there's bitterness, there's frustration, there's an eagerness and an urgency. What do we need to change to get over the hump? All of that understandable. We just watched the Oilers lose the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row. So what's their fan base? How bitter are they? Trying to figure out that McDavid money. But sometimes the makeup of an entire season, as long as they are specifically, not just NHL, but NBA, the association, is those singular moments like starting Joe Ingles. And when he talked about that yesterday, I must admit, sadly, I'd kind of forgotten about that. I'm thinking about a season that was full of really cool stuff. But just that night in particular, the moment, what it meant on a personal level to him and his family, like the seasons are made up of those things too. And I think it's really important that we find time to kind of celebrate those and appreciate them when they come about.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think one of the most impressive parts about that choice and that night was that if people remember, the Wolves really needed to win that game. They had stumbled a bit of late. They were scratching and clawing to get above and out of the play-in tournament, and every game meant so much. And yet, with all of those stakes and with all of the pressure on that team, Finch still decided to make that move and to do this kind of ceremonially because of two things. One, first and foremost, I think the story was that Joe's son had not been able to kind of endure all of the sensory overload of an NBA game because of his autism forever and ever. But earlier in that week, he had gone to a game and made it through the whole thing. And so it was a huge milestone for the family, and Joe did not play in that game. And so Chris Finch wanted to give the family that moment, which was really neat. But the other thing that Finch talked about with you guys and talked about with us when it happened was the message that it sent to the team of kind of to like look outside of yourselves, like stop thinking and being so much in your feelings about what's happening on the court, about your specific frustrations or playing time issues or whatever there is, and just think about a bigger picture. And in that moment, I do think it allowed the team to get outside of itself and understand that there are bigger things in life. And it really did recenter them a little bit and got them going toward the playoffs and getting to that 6th seed. And it was a kick in the butt that they all really needed at the time. So it was really cool.
Yeah. And they absolutely, I mean, the kick in the butt that they needed, every game mattered, and they went out and just absolutely smashed the Pelicans that evening. I do remember that, I believe. Now, back to another thing you mentioned from Finchie's conversation with PA yesterday. You said it. He was very confident and emphatic in fact that Naz Reid, player option, Julius Randle, player option, both finding their way back to the nest this summer. I find a genuine nature to how he delivered that yesterday. What's tricky or precarious about that happening?
Yeah, I mean, so the cynical response to what Finch said, and how confident he was is like, well, of course, what else is he going to say? Or would he have said the same thing about Cat last year at the same time? And those are true things, but I do think that he is speaking from an educated viewpoint on what kind of discussions that the team has been having with Randle and Reid, what kind of things they're looking at elsewhere, and the likelihood of something happening. And so when you factor all of those things in, I think it was notable. And Naz Reid and Julius Randle both have player options. Naz Reid has definitely said that he's on the record saying that he's going to become a free agent and look for a long-term deal. The Timberwolves very much want him to have that long-term deal here. Julius Randle is a little bit more unknown at this point. Is he going to opt in to his final year at $31 million, or is he going to look around for a longer term security? I think that it's a little trickier for Randle to be able to find that kind of deal elsewhere right now. There's just not a lot of free agent money out there for players. And when you look at Randle, he's 30 years old. He'll be going into his 12th season, I believe. And he's had a really good year for the Timberwolves, but a player like Naz Reid actually might price Randle out of one or two of the teams that would be looking for a power forward, north of $20 million a year. So I think that given how much he and his family have liked living here, how much Finch really likes having him here, I think barring some major trade, I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute, but barring something like that Randle is involved in, he may come back here, either on the player option for next season, or maybe similar to a Rudy Gobert last year, and you get a 2 or 3 year deal that's a little bit less than what he's making right now, but gives him a little more security into the future.
Busy couple of weeks ahead, Johnny, for Tim Connolly, this front office, Finch in the mix as well as they try to put this thing together again. And you've been busy, and Sam Amick, I believe, also with The Athletic. You guys have been doing a ton of reporting in recent days. It's the Durant dilemma. Now, I saw this yesterday, and I just need to throw it out there, and you can tell me if it sounds right or if it's preposterous. But it was attributed to a sports radio long-timer down in Phoenix. I believe his name's John Gambadoro. And it's being shared as a report. And when I read this, I'm thinking, any possibility that maybe he was floating some opinions out there and people are kind of taking it and running with it? But the report is that the Timberwolves had offered Phoenix for Kevin Durant, Rudy Gobert, Dante DiVincenzo, Rob Dillingham, and or Terrence Shannon Jr., and the 17th pick. I have to be honest, it sounds a little steep, my friend. Where's your head at on that?
Yeah, look, I will say this about John, who I don't know personally, but he's been around for a very long time, and he's very plugged in with the Suns. So generally speaking, he has good reporting. From what I have gathered in that report, I don't think there's anything close to reality in that offer. It is way, way too much for Kevin Durant. And I do believe that it feels more like Phoenix is trying to drum up offers, is trying to create a market where there isn't much of one right now. Sam Amick and I, my colleague at The Athletic, we've done a lot of reporting and canvassing the league and looking at all of the options out there right now. And as far as we can gather, Kevin Durant prefers Houston, San Antonio, or Miami. Houston and San Antonio, both, as far as we know, have offered very underwhelming packages for Kevin Durant. Miami does not have many pieces that really intrigue Phoenix at all. And so I believe, and what we have reported is that the Suns really want Minnesota to get back into this race because they like the pieces that Minnesota can possibly offer much more than what they've seen so far from other teams. The issue that arises is that Kevin Durant has said that he does not want to come here, that the Minnesota is not on his preferred list right now. And I do not believe that the Timberwolves would make a deal for Kevin Durant without some assurances from him or his camp that he is going to be comfortable playing here, and doing, and being all in. And so, right now, I just feel like Phoenix is really trying to create a market, and I think that at the end of the day, no matter where Kevin Durant goes, whether it's here or elsewhere, I think that what Phoenix gets in return for him is going to be a lot less than what maybe people would expect of a player of his caliber. There just does not seem to be the feeding frenzy of market for Kevin Durant right now, given that he's 37, given that he has 1 year left on his deal, a lot of other factors that are coming in. So, don't worry, Wolves fans, as you're listening to this, they have not put that entire package on the table. There's just no way, that they would pay that amount. But I'm sure they are still interested. And so we will see if they get back into this thing, but it won't be for that reported offer that is not out there at all right now.
Now, one thing it feels like is regardless of whatever the offer is, it would probably include Rudy Gobert, correct?
Well, it's either Rudy Gobert or Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Those are the two main pieces. And I do think, and I have reported this, one of the hard things that the Wolves are considering and wrestling with as they do look at the possibility of bringing Kevin Durant in is, do you give up Rudy Gobert, who, if you do that, you also all of a sudden have no rim protection. You have no, kind of paint presence defensively. Durant's a good defender, but certainly not to the level of Rudy Gobert. And so as much as Wolves fans kind of tear their hair out about his lack of skill, talent on offense, Rudy is incredibly important to what the Wolves do defensively, and the Wolves are aware of that. And so I believe that the Suns would like Rudy Gobert, yes. I'm not 100% sure that the Wolves would ultimately sign off on including Rudy Gobert in a trade. It could be Randle, which would bring his own kind of, complications or things. But But yes, it has to be one of those two, Gobert or Randall, as sort of the headlining financial fulcrum to help this package work out.
So if I said, and I'm sticking with Rudy for a second, if I was to say, I wonder if the team's just bored with Rudy. Am I being too much of a fan? Am I being too much of a rube? Or is there something material or substantial about what we've seen the last two playoff runs that might lead me down that road as it pertains to Gobert?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the debate with Gobert right now. Number one, what he does, what you know that he does, is he raises the floor of your team. He makes the playoffs every single year. So in the regular season, he's incredibly valuable as a floor raiser, as a rebounder, as a defender, as someone that just helps win regular season games. That is valuable. That is something that has really helped Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, a lot of these young guys make sure they get playoff experience and get these things under their belt before they reach their prime. So, and then we've seen him have great moments in the playoffs. He played really well against Denver last year, played incredible closeout games against the Warriors and the Lakers in this series, in this round of series. So he's given value. But what looks like has happened these last two Western Conference Finals is that there are certain matchups that make it very difficult to go to the finals and win a championship with him in the middle. What we have seen in these NBA Finals right now, Pacers, Oklahoma City, is that the antidote to the Thunder's defensive prowess is making sure you have five guys on the floor who you really have to worry about from an offensive standpoint. And so the decision that the Wolves would have to make if they did part with Rudy Gobert in a Kevin Durant trade, it would be an acknowledgement that, man, Rudy's done so much for us. It's been incredible, but there is a ceiling on where we think we can get with Rudy as opposed to Kevin Durant. I don't know that they're ultimately going to make that decision and that determination, but that is absolutely a worthy debate to have right now.
Yeah, and I'm debating it with myself, kind of the idea like the HOF aura of a Durant and the scoring. And you mentioned a little bit of defense, but he's not necessarily defending and getting the rebounds and some of the stuff that he's done maybe in higher volume earlier in his career, but still certainly fantastic. Or a more dynamic point guard that pushes Conley maybe to a swan song reserve role. Because there's kind of that end of it too, where you're trying to think, because I feel like if you're negative on Gobert, you're thinking about, you mentioned these matchups. It's like, well, it feels like we're, effectively that is not an offensive option for certain aspects of games. So maybe that, so maybe you offset that from the standpoint that it's like, well, if I did get a little more, love Conley, but he's no spring chicken. If I had a more dynamic one next to Ant, maybe that solves that problem. Are you having that debate? Are fans? Is Connolly? I assume everyone's kind of bringing that up once in a while too.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the other side of the coin. Like if you decide that Rudy is very, very important to you and you want to keep Rudy Gobert, and which is ultimately they may very well do, then you do look at point guard because you want a couple of things from the point guard spot that would help if you keep Rudy Gobert. Number one, if you do have more of a dynamic scorer, everyone loves Mike Conley. He's been so important to what this team does and how far this team has gotten the last 2 years. But there is a limitation on his offensive output, his scoring output at this stage of his career. So if you bring in another point guard who can score from the perimeter and put pressure on the defense that way, that would help. The other part that would really help is if there's someone a little more dynamic in terms of being able to get into the paint and throw lob passes to Rudy Gobert, that would really help his offense, because one of the weaknesses of this Timberwolves team has been that they have not been able to use what Rudy does best offensively because they don't have a lot of guys who are just really natural lob throwers. And so if you get someone else in there, that would help. I will say I am intrigued by the possibility of Rob Dillingham being that player. I don't know that he'll be ready for a full-time starting role yet in year 2, but he has a lot of the skill set that you like in, that kind of a prototype of a player. He can throw that lob. He is a jitterbug. He is dynamic. He can kind of create his own shot. He's got to improve in a lot of areas. He's got to get bigger and stronger and all of these things, but that is one player that I'm watching that could make a leap in the next year or 2 that would really help things. But in the meantime, do they need to find a bridge until he gets to that point? That's the question right now.
Yeah, you mentioned Dillingham, and going back to Finch yesterday in studio, I think it's the second time when he's been talking specifically about Dillingham. And talk about we want our coaches to be genuine and offer us the honesty that we're looking for. But he's given it. So I don't need him to sugarcoat Dillingham, but it almost feels like, watching him in studio when he was talking about Dillingham, like he had to reach back and pull this piece of notebook paper out of the back of his pocket, out of his back pocket, and start reading like a laundry list of to do for Dillingham to be NBA ready. And he doesn't inspire a ton of confidence, at least in terms of Dillingham really truly being ready, even come October.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's I don't believe that Chris Finch fully trusts him yet, and that was indicative of the lack of playing time that he got as a rookie. And Finch is probably very well, has plenty of logic and plenty of ground to stand on to make that decision. One thing that needs to be acknowledged is that point guard is the most demanding position in the NBA, that it often takes guys several years to sort of learn the position at that level, to figure out when it's time to look for your own offense, when it's time to get others involved. It's a big, big deal. And so part of what Finch, I think, is doing right now in terms of laying out all of the things that Rob has to address and improve upon is he is being demanding of his player and understanding that there's going to be a lot required of this position. And so Rob has to understand just how far he has to go. And that's just, that's a coach's job, is to push these guys and get them understanding the gravity of everything that they need to do and all of their responsibilities. And so I think in a lot of the ways in Finch doing that, it is just a head coach coaching his guy hard and demanding a lot out of him. And so because whenever Rob does step into that role, if he does, it's going to be on a team that has designs on going deep in the Western Conference playoffs and possibly even going to the finals. So this is not just a team that you can afford to let a 19, 20-year-old just run around, make a bunch of mistakes, and learn through the pain that way. He's got to be ready to go and contribute. It's kind of similar to what J.J. McCarthy is getting ready for with the Vikings. He's coming to a playoff-ready team. He's playing an incredibly demanding position, and this team with the talent around him can't afford for him to learn on the job. And so this is all about Finch just saying, we need you to be as ready as possible when you get to camp, so we can trust you with more of this responsibility.
Last one or two for you here, Johnny, and I'll let you go. I really appreciate the time. With the finals and what we're watching here with OKC, I mean, speaking of guards, by the way, that needed some time to grow into the role, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, now that's a high-end example, but he has certainly grown from his days as a rookie with the Clippers. I'm sure they're wishing maybe they hadn't done the Paul George thing, but that's a different conversation. Does watching these two teams, does this create a fad? Does it create a trend? Whereas we're analyzing the Wolves and other teams are doing the same thing. We want to be there hoisting the Larry O'Brien. That this creates a fad or a trend in terms of how you see maybe rosters reshaping and being constructed this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Finch hit on it with you guys a little bit on there is just going to be more emphasis going forward on depth than there has been, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago. It was all about how can we get the most amount of star players at the top of our roster to really carry the load and just kind of outmuscle people that way. And now with the way that the collective bargaining agreement is designed to distribute talent around the league, you really can have like 2 stars, and then you need 8, 9 guys to be depth pieces to kind of roll in and out, play different roles, do all of those things. And so I do think that's going to be an influence. The other thing that is an influence that we kind of hit on a little bit earlier is I do think that there is a recognition that the days of being able to have multiple offensive either liabilities or just non-factors on the floor at one time are gone. Both of these teams put guys out there that can do something productive offensively at every spot. And so that's something that the Wolves really do have to look at in terms of with Rudy Gobert, with an aging Mike Conley, with some of their other players. Like the one-dimensional kind of guys are not going to be in vogue anymore. You need to find talented dudes that can put the ball on the floor, create a little bit for themselves, pass it, shoot it, be threats offensively. And so I do think that is going to shape some of the roster building, probably not just in Minnesota, but in many other places going forward as well.
One way or another, this Durant thing gets solved probably by the draft, right? So by next week, we can start talking about what the Wolves will be doing, or maybe not, but what they might most likely be doing at pick 17, right? We can move on from this, it feels like, within the next 4 or 5 days?
That's what it feels like, yeah. So we're like a little over a week away from the draft starting Thursday and Friday night next week. And the belief around the league is that, yes, that KD will have a home by that point. Okay. And, it's really interesting. I mean, this is a draft that is important. The Wolves have 17 and 31. Those are 2 quality picks in this draft. And so they can use those picks to add more young talent, or they can use those to trade for other pieces that they want. And so I do think that once the Durant domino falls, either if he doesn't come to Minnesota, I think there are going to be other options that end up opening up for the Wolves to look at with using those picks and seeing what they can do. So the sooner the better on KD, whether it's here or elsewhere. And then I think you will see more deal making start to happen across the league as everyone kind of waits for that Kevin Durant clog to pass through the pipes.
Hey, thanks for all you do, not just for our show, but bumper to bumper and all your work with the Fan, man. We'll continue to follow you as this stuff comes to completion with the Durant dilemma.
You got it. Thanks, Nordo. Appreciate it, man. Thank
you. That's John Krasinski of The Athletic at JONKRAWCZYNSKI via X. Follows the Wolves, covers the NBA for The Athletic. He and Sam Amick are working overtime right now, and sounds like it's just, does he want to be here? Does he want to come to Minnesota? Is it a tax situation? I think it's pretty cold in the wintertime. One way or another, it'll hash itself out, it sounds like, in the coming days, as Johnny mentioned, a week from tomorrow, the NBA draft. So we'll be able to focus maybe on pick 17, or maybe we'll start debating what this team's going to look like with KD in the mix. But all of that is happening soon, which is going to be fun. Busy couple of weeks ahead for Tim Connolly. Thank you to John Krasinski. Sorry to my buddy Ken for not asking 7 Luka Garza questions. Luka Garza's biggest fan, leads a fan club, goes down to Iowa every single year, or at least he used to watch his games. Biggest Luka Garza fan outside of his family that the world has ever seen. Sorry about that, Ken. We'll talk about Luka Garza maybe next time. Couple segments to go, a couple shorties. It's Nordo in for PA, 9 to noon.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Unlock smarter learning with Lenovo AI-powered PCs powered by Intel Core Ultra processors. Head to Lenovo.com and choose from multiple devices to fit your passions. If you're a gamer, you can spend less time stressing about GPUs and CPUs and more time dominating with your AI-enabled Smart Engine, which optimizes your game performance in real time. Or maybe you're a scientist on the verge of a groundbreaking discovery and need a device with a longer battery life and AI-enhanced tools to give you extra time to finish your research. Or you're a musician preparing for your biggest break and need better, faster AI tools to make digital art a breeze, like creating band posters and t-shirt designs. Or you're a soon-to-be graduate needing to catch a recruiter's eye to land that dream job, so you need cutting-edge smart tools to build your portfolio from scratch. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. Plus, college students and teachers get 5% off with an education account on Lenovo.com. A better future is waiting, and it needs you.
Hey, everybody. So when you get asked, what is Odoo, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But, some people also say that Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable.
Ooh. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. Whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it.
Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Man.
For PA, 9 to noon. Vocal maintenance days for the host. He'll be back on Monday. He'll be in all week next week, and we got a busy week. It's the NBA draft. We have the NHL draft, and a lot to talk about. Things still festering for Festa and the baseball team. Hopefully that changes. Thanks to Jonny Athletic for joining. Following us earlier as well. I did get this text, and this is how I felt, kind of the he likes us, he really likes us, or he doesn't like us kind of idea with Durant. Mike in Chaska. Chaska, by the way. Beautiful suburb, Southwest. I'm biased, but I love it. Nordo, I didn't want Durant until he said he didn't want to come here. I didn't want Durant until he said he doesn't want to come here. Anyone else? I feel like there is a little bit of that sentiment where it's still, Midwestern sensibilities. I like my mild salsa. I like my tater tot hot dish, or at least that's the perception of us up here in Minnesota in the cornfields, as we would say at 9 to noon. Maybe there is a little bit of that. Why doesn't he want to come here? We got lakes. We got paradise up here. It's limited. And actually, in June, we've just been getting absolutely freaking dumped on with rain. It feels like the last 2 or 3 years in a row. And as a matter of fact, that's following one year, I remember, almost a historic dry drought in the state of Minnesota. How are the farmers getting along with this? It's either too wet or it's too dry. Let's find some middle ground here. Let's stretch it out over the course of the summer.
Every single road under construction that you could possibly think of.
Yeah, we're not the only place.
Well,
I was trying to, my kids were talking to me about the seasons of the year, and And I said, you'll hear from some people, they'll joke about it, that it's winter and it's road construction. And I was like, that's not really that funny. I don't like road construction. Why does it all happen at the same time? And the conversation devolved from there, and I moved on. Turned up the music, and eventually they stopped talking.
To round them out.
Why doesn't Durant want to be here? Is it just simply that it's too cold? Why doesn't he like us? Because I know we're going to fill up Target Center every night for him. I know that the fans, and I see this too. I'm not really big into uniforms and the stylings and the updates and the city editions and all of this, but there is a significant Timberwolves fan base contingent that wants them to go retro and just make that the standard again. Would you buy a Kevin Durant retro jersey? Of course you would. Of course you would. So we're going to fill up Target Center for you, Kevin. And, there's some skyways and such and terrific restaurants, things of that nature. I think we'd take good care of you up here. But I didn't want him to come here until he said he didn't want to. Now I demand that he's here. And I can't remember where I saw it. Maybe it was a national NBA update where Kawhi Leonard, when he left the Spurs and went to Toronto, they kind of used that as an example of a high-ender who had no interest in that location. He ends up going there, and with Siakam and Van Vliet, was he in the mix there? OG Anunoby, potentially? They win the title up there, and he's doing turnaround. That shot he hit against, I think it was the Sixers, unbelievable magic moments. And then he made the mistake of going to the Clippers. And nothing's been the same for him since. I'm sensing a theme here, whether it's trades and just there's something around the Clippers that ain't working. But didn't want Durant here until he said he didn't want to be here. So you could just trade for him. Now, that would likely end in what? That would end disastrously. 1 year left on his deal. You give up. I mean, it's the idea of that trade, that offer that was put out there. Was it a report? Was it just a longtime radio guy opining in the afternoon drive time and threw some things out and some fans ran with it because we get excited, because we're emotional, because we are rubes? And I'm saying we because that's me. I'm an adult child. Did somebody get excited about it? I mean, you're absolutely gutting yourselves if you go with Rudy and Dante Dillingham and or Terrence Shannon Jr. and the 17th pick. That's insane. So it doesn't feel like there's a lot of accuracy or veracity to that. But all the same, would you what this team would look like with Kevin, and then if he doesn't want to come here and he says, see you later after a year, that would be something in which might require a house cleaning in a front office, potentially, if that was to happen. So, but if it's Rudy here and you look for a more dynamic spot, a dynamic player at the one spot next to Ant, and a lot of confidence from the coach, and you even heard kind of some optimism, or just I would say he's pragmatic about it. Jonny Athletic is, as he always is, as he reports on it. The pragmatism around maybe some difficulty of the hoops with Nas. Right now, the thing for me with Nas, and there were a couple of text messages, and I didn't get the chance to expand on that conversation specifically with him, is I know that Nas can go out there and get more money than this $15 million option. But from who? And how excited would Nas be? Are we just chasing the money, or are we putting ourselves in a spot? Pistons on the come. They're in the postseason, and when they're healthy, that team is game. And Nas would fit really well, I think, with the Detroit Pistons. Now, the Nets have been noted maybe as another team that might have the ability to offer him a longer-term deal. But how big is that market? And the Nets, not excited about the Nets at this stage. But the Nets are a great example of a team that wanted to maybe go all in with Kevin Durant. Maybe it didn't work out. But the market for Nas, so there's pragmatism there, but kind of the optimism that, this is a terrific spot, and the Wolves are definitely motivated to keep him. Randall, from his market standpoint, why on earth would he opt out of that $31 million? That sounds That sounds like a poor decision on his part, given his market. So the optimism of having those guys back. Can we get more dynamic at the point guard position and keep Rudy? Are you cool with that as a lover of the Howl? Are you in on Kevin Durant because he doesn't want to be here, but if he changes his mind and he says that he loves us, now it's going to be perfect without gutting the roster, as we saw in that report/opinion of a trade idea, an offer to Phoenix? It's difficult positioning right now. One thing that kind of got me hooked a little bit, but it's this time of the year. 3-team trade. Now, 3-team trade's very difficult to execute, but it's been kind of steamy the last couple days. Is you ultimately total Rube style here, but roll with me. And I believe he's coming off a pretty significant injury, so someone would have to tell me where he's at in his recovery. But 3-team trade that might send a Durant to XYZ team. We'll call it the Spurs, actually. I think it would have to be the Spurs. Phoenix gets Gobert, and somehow we find a guy like De'Aaron Fox. Now, this has probably been talked. I've seen it bandied about on social media, and you look at the Spurs. They do have Wemby, but key here with De'Aaron Fox, the injury, and they have Devin Vassell, and they have Stephon Castle. And Castle's their guy in the long term. And De'Aaron Fox, albeit I loved his work out in Sacramento, kind of felt like a little bit of hot potato get out of town as it pertains to him and moving on from De'Aaron in Sacramento. And now, has his moments, but maybe a placeholder to a Castle, and then he gets hurt. So 3-team trade. Are you up for that? The idea of adding that dynamic guard and keeping Rudy. And then again, is talking about with Johnny, everybody on the court needs to be an offensive threat. Can Rudy be that in all those moments? Through 2 Western Conference Finals consecutively, he's proven that he can't be an offensive option all the time, every time. So that's where we sit with that. But again, quick solution coming, it sounds like. Coming days, we'll be able to either, I guess, celebrate because he likes us and he wants to be here. This is going to be amazing. He loves Minnesota. Get a picture, a spoon, the cherry, the whole thing. Or we can move on to what we're going to do with the 17th overall pick and how we upgrade that guard spot. So that's where we're at with the Howl. I appreciate all the text messages today. Next couple of days, text messages always in vogue, 9 to noon, and we appreciate it. But let's pause, come back, put a wrap on this thing. Sonordo in for...
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Are you shopping for a new laptop while still trying to keep up with technology and AI? Talk about feeling burnt out. But no more. Lenovo.com makes it easier than ever to find the perfect PC. In fact, we'll break it down for you. Step 1. Shop our lineup of AI PCs powered by Intel Core Ultra processors. Because why deal with downloading new software when you can buy a smarter PC that already comes with all of the AI features and tools? Step 2. Find the one that fits your passion. Whether you're a creative genius, a research scientist, a hardcore gamer, or a future CEO, no dream is too big. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. You can keep up with your ideas as well as any challenges you may face. Step 3. Add to cart and purchase. Oh, if you're a college student or a teacher, make an education account through us and get 5% off your whole order. Shop now at Lenovo.com. A better future is waiting, and it needs you.
Hey, everybody. So when you get asked, what is Odoo, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But, some people also say that Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable.
Ooh. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. Whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it.
Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
There's a moment every parent remembers. The day their child takes off on 2 wheels. With Guardian Bikes, that moment comes as early as 2 years old, and with less stress and frustration. These bikes are built just for kids. Lightweight frames, low center of gravity, easy-to-use brakes. Everything about Guardian is designed to help kids ride confidently, often in just 1 day, no training wheels needed. And because Guardian bikes are designed and assembled right here in the USA, you know they're built to last. With care in every detail. Their patented Sure-Stop braking system stops both wheels with a single lever, helping your child stop safely without tripping forward or losing control. Right now, save hundreds when comparing Guardian to its competitors at GuardianBikes.com and get a free lock and pump when you join their newsletter, a $50 value. Visit GuardianBikes.com today to save and help your child learn an essential life skill safely. Guardian Bikes, built for your kid and for the memories you'll never forget.
PA 9 to noon. Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions back-to-back. OKC trying to finish off Indy tomorrow night. The baseball team is festering with Festa. Forming pus or septic. Ooh, an awful definition of a word. Thank you so much to everybody for listening to 9 to noon today, hanging out with me on a vocal maintenance day for the host. OTAs, effectively in name only, nothing going on at Egan or Winter Park East. And we're working our way to an NBA draft, an NHL draft next week. Working our way to a Thursday 9 to noon that'll feature Michael Russo, The Athletic. He was covering the Stanley Cup Final in Edmonton and in Florida, and he's going to join me right out of the gates. We'll talk about that. We'll jump into our favorite hockey team with some pressing business on the forefront moving forward. And then Ben Lieber in studio at 10 o'clock. We can get a recap of the whole Bat Boy extravaganza as that takes place on Twin Cities Live this afternoon. Zach Halverson looking like Bat Boy on television. Soak that in. And then Lavelli Neal III, columnist Star Tribune. He's going to join me at 11. So a full slate. That'll get us into a Friday feast. And thank you so much, Brett, for hanging out with me. I'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Thanks for listening to The Fan. The Grum is next.
Today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hi, I'm Danielle Fishel from Pod Meets World. So for my two boys, I got Samsung Galaxy Watch for Kids. And I'm not saying I'm kind of jealous of my kids' tech. I'm saying I am definitely jealous of my child's tech. This thing lets them call, text, and explore all from their wrist. No smartphone required. And don't worry, you're still the boss. You control who they can talk to, and yes, you can totally stalk their location in real time. Get Galaxy Watch 7 on T-Mobile, now kid-ready with a new paired line. Visit T-Mobile.com to order yours today. Parent and child must have a Samsung account and Google account with Family Link. Requires initial pairing with a compatible Samsung smartphone and qualifying wireless plan with LTE service activated. Please check with your carrier for more information. Trusted contact applies to compatible apps. It does not restrict communication through third-party or other communication apps. Emergency services and contacts remain accessible. Location sharing is dependent on network connectivity and device being recently active. T-Mobile terms via 24 monthly bill credits when you add a qualifying paired watch line. See additional offer terms on T-Mobile.com.
Does Friendly have a taste? If it does, it's probably like Hello's peppermint-flavored anti-plaque and whitening toothpaste. Brush away plaque, show tartar who's boss, and remove surface stains to naturally whiten. Hello's thoughtful and flavor-forward products make brushing your teeth feel like a confetti-filled bathroom dance party. So say hello to Hello with the always cruelty-free, never-tested-on-animals toothpaste that's made to spread smiles. Visit HelloProducts.com and let Hello add some everyday yay into your life.